नमस्कार। आप सबका स्वागत है शंकर लॉज की इस मीटिंग के अंदर। और हम मीटिंग को स्टार्ट करेंगे यूनिवर्सल प्रेयर के साथ में। अपने माइक्स को म्यूट रखें प्लीज़। ओ हिडन लाइफ वाइब्रेंट इन एवरी एटम, ओ हिडन लाइट शाइनिंग इन एवरी क्रीचर, ओ हिडन लव embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. तो शंकर लॉज में आज हमारी मीटिंग जो है इसके अंदर हम स्वागत करते हैं ब्रदर बी.डी. तेंदुलकर जी का, जो कि हमारे नेशनल लेक्चरर हैं इंडियन सेक्शन के। ये पूना से आते हैं और बहुत लंबा इनका टाइम है सर्विस देने का थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के अंदर। ज़्यादातर तो हम लोग जानते ही हैं इनके बारे में, और हमारे यहाँ पे भी शंकर लॉज में कई बारी आके ये हमारे को लेक्चर्स अपने दे चुके हैं, फिज़िकली भी और ऑनलाइन भी। तो ब्रदर तेंदुलकर महाराष्ट्र फेडरेशन के सेक्रेटरी भी रह चुके हैं, प्रेसिडेंट भी रह चुके हैं, और अब
It's 5:35 p.m.
आज का उनका टॉपिक है द नेचर ऑफ मैटर एंड इट्स थ्री एस्पेक्ट्स। So I welcome brother B.D. Tendulkar to give his talk on the nature of matter and its three aspects. Brother Tendulkar is a national lecturer and has been serving the Theosophical Society for a long time. He has been in the past secretary and president of Maharashtra Federation. He has been to Shankar Lodge physically and given lectures and study camps as well as online also. Now I request Brother Tendulkar to please start his lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. I thank you all, Shankar Lodge, Delhi Theosophical Federation, for arranging this lecture and giving me an opportunity to express my views on the topic nature of matter and its gunas. As we know, every particle of matter has life in it, consciousness or spirit, whatever we may call it. And in the process of evolution, there is a gradual, progressive development of matter appropriate for the expression of the spirit. And this is applicable at all levels of existence, right from the logos to the minutest particle of matter. There is no matter without spirit or consciousness. And matter takes appropriate forms to suit the consciousness for its expression. From the unmanifest to manifest, we know that the one existence, the absolute, becomes two, without which there is no manifestation. So there is a need for some external triggering and response to which there is movement in the matter, vibrations. And this movement is limited by the quality of the matter. As we know, matter in its original state is brute in nature. And energy accompanying the matter is not controlled or regulated. Therefore, there is need for change into the nature of matter as it exists at the beginning.
Just a minute.
Just take a minute.
Okay. Just a minute. There is some adjustment required.
Just check the session.
So there is need to bring about a change in the quality of matter. Matter has got to be shaped.
No, no.
And now can you hear the sound?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
But there is echo. So please mute one device.
Now can you hear clearly?
Which means every particle of matter has these three aspects. And the quality of the matter will depend upon the proportion of these three aspects. It may be that one of them may be predominant and other two subsidiary. So matter will normally be recognized or identified by that guna which is more prominent or predominant in the constitution of that substance. The form which it takes will depend upon again the quality of the matter. We know that in the process of evolution, there are three life waves coming from three different aspects of the logos. We call it in Hindu philosophy Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. The life wave coming, the first wave from Brahma, it influences the primordial matter, Mula Prakriti. The matter as it exists in this space. Space generally is understood as a vacuum containing nothing. But in reality, it has matter, it has gravitational force, and that is tremendous, substantial. And as I mentioned, it is not in any way controlled or regulated so far as the energy aspect accompanying the matter. The energy is brute in nature and it needs to be controlled, regulated. If the motion which results has to result into expected outcome. Otherwise, there is no control over the outcome of the motion. And we are concerned with how we can really utilize the matter in association of the consciousness for evolution. Evolutionary process begins with disturbance which is necessary when all three gunas, sattva, raja, tama, are in equilibrium, there is no movement. As we see in the stage before Manvantara starts, Pralaya, there things are in equilibrium. When Manvantar starts, this balance gets disturbed. In the initial stage, as we know, there is predominance of tamas. And therefore, there is a tendency to remain in the same state. There is a great resistance to any change. This quality is generally referred to as inertia. And therefore, for starting of the evolutionary process, there is need for change, which means the predominance of tamas should be brought down and predominance of the other aspect, the rajas, has to become more prominent or dominant. This results into motion. Motion is an indication of the presence of consciousness because we can see it, we can feel it with our senses. But all matter is animate matter, is living matter. There is no dead matter, as has been made very clear by H.P. Blavatsky in Secret Doctrine. It is only the degree to which we can feel this presence of life or consciousness in the matter. So there is a progressive rearrangement of matter so far as the proportion of three aspects, tamas, rajas and sattva, is concerned. As the process of formation matter takes forms appropriate to the expression of the consciousness. And this is induced by some intelligence which guides this reorganization of matter. So we will find that it follows a law of periodicity. While the spirit aspect is immortal, matter aspect, matter which serves as vehicle of consciousness, is mortal. So it has a definite life. So there is a cyclic process of coming into existence, going out of existence, again coming back into existence, just as we find in birth and death. Form appears with birth, disappears with death, and again reappears after some time. And when it reappears with better form, which is more appropriate for the expression of the spirit. This process is a natural process in the initial stages. It is inbuilt by nature. We call there is an energy aspect associated with this spirit and matter. HPB has called it or referred to it as Fohan, an energy which guides this process. So, in the initial stages, there is very little that the individual can do because the spirit has not yet come up to a stage where it can find its expression in the external world of matter. Because the matter itself is not appropriate for expression of the powers of the spirit. or the potentialities which are hidden into the consciousness. So it's a gradual process. By usage of matter for expression of consciousness, at every round, there is a process of reorganization towards betterment or perfection, progression towards perfection. And this happens in all kingdoms of nature, whether it is mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, or human kingdom. It is very slow in mineral kingdom, but there also we find that minerals undergo this process of evolution in the steady process, and they emerge into better forms like jewels, emeralds, diamonds. Similarly, it is also a process observed in the plant kingdom from very early stages of coming into existence of the grass or even species inferior to that. There is a gradual progression and form changes over a period of time. The process of adjustment, which is required for survival, is an important aspect of this process. The struggle which goes on provides an opportunity to open up the hidden potentialities and there is at every stage a reformation or reorganization of matter, and when that form vanishes or disintegrates, it again comes into existence after the period of inactivity. It's like light and darkness or day and night. Day is over, night begins. Period of activity, period of rest. Period of period of rest is utilized for development of potentiality to change the form appropriate to that stage of development corresponding to the unfoldment of the spirit within. So, after the period of rest is over, there is a potentiality already developed for a new form, better suited for further unfoldment of the spirit. And this goes on So every time there is creation of new forms and eventually new species, new varieties, it adds to the multiplicity of forms. And it is not only limited to a particular kingdom. What is achieved in mineral kingdom could be utilized in plant kingdom. What is achieved in plant kingdom could be utilized in animal kingdom. And what is achieved in animal kingdom can be utilized in human kingdom. Basically, man is at the center of all these things because all this evolutionary process is aimed at achievement of that divine individuality of man. So everything is centered or directed towards results which will be utilized for progression towards perfection of man. Therefore, we will find that in the constitution of man, all the experience and knowledge gained through evolutionary process in various kingdoms is utilized for formation of various systems, whether we think of structure of bones in the body, the flesh, the joints, the digestive system, the breathing system, excretory system. All these have been developed on the basis of experience gained in different kingdoms of nature. So, it is not that this process is independent in every kingdom. It is interdependent and it helps the evolution of man. At the stage of humanity, there is a definite change. The evolution in other kingdoms is mostly guided by nature. But in human kingdom, after a certain stage is reached, the distinction of man being a self-conscious creature as distinguished from other living beings. Man has the capacity to understand not only himself as a separate entity, but has also a sense of his own potential to contribute to the process of evolution as an agency of nature, cooperating with nature to accelerate the process of evolution. So, we will find that there are individuals in the human kingdom who take their evolution in their own hands and who emerge as superman, the perfected man. This is something distinct from other kingdoms of nature. This is partly due to the third life wave, where causal body is formed and there is self-consciousness, there is awareness of separate existence as individual, and there is also the aspects which are transformed in the process of evolution from the animal kingdom, like desire for survival, not only survival, which is there in animals, but here desire for excellence, desire for development, improvement, awareness of one's own untapped potential. Animals behave mostly by natural instincts. But in case of man, it is not just natural instinct. Man has got 7 principles, out of which the lower ones are similar to animal kingdom. And therefore, we have inherited those things from the animals. But now it is clubbed with higher mind, buddhi, atman, with the formation of causal body. So we are a being having not only those animal tendencies which are there because of our kama manas, the lower part of our mind, but there is buddhi manas also because of the higher triangle of atma buddhi manas. So there is always a tendency to go down because of that natural inheritance of animal tendencies. And at the same time, there is also an aspiration to move higher towards our divine possibilities. And here, the properties of matter really matter. If our vehicles can be purified and improved, they can serve as an effective channel of consciousness. And if that happens, then man realizes his own potentials, his own strengths, which are otherwise lying dormant. So it is the responsibility of an individual to take his evolution in his own hands, to understand one's own hidden potential and to understand also the limitation of his vehicles, his bodies, to allow that hidden potential to manifest or express itself for want of right material or matter of which the vehicles are formed. Consciousness can vibrate effectively in the proportion of the refinement of the particles of matter. If the particles are gross, the rate of vibrations is low. If the particles are fine, the rate of vibrations goes up. Finer they are, greater are the vibrations. And greater vibrations means greater sensitivity. We are able to sense things in respect of which otherwise we are insensible. And once we become sensible of higher things, that leads to aspire to retain that sensitivity on a permanent basis. So the experiencing of that potentiality once gives us an impetus to repeat that experience again when we realize the limitations of our vehicles and at the same time the possibility of improving them with conscious efforts. This gives a person better understanding of these qualities of matter. In Bhagavad Gita, there are narrations, say about the food we take. What kind of food would promote sattva guna? What kind of food will lead to rajasa guna? And food that may keep us bound to tamasa stage. And here there is a need of discrimination to get away from our animal tendencies. We should be able to discriminate between what the vehicles want and what the soul or the spirit needs. There should not be a confusion between the wants of the vehicles and need of the soul. This confusion comes because we are unable to separate ourselves from our vehicles. There is a lack of understanding that vehicles have their own consciousness, separate, distinct from the consciousness of the Atma, which is our main pillar on which the spiritual development depends. So, when there is struggle between these animal tendencies and divine aspirations, we should be able to put our weight on the side of our higher self. And this is possible by exerting our willpower. We know that spirit has these two aspects. In Hindu philosophy, many times there is description of God and Goddess. Say, in respect of the three aspects, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, we have also their counterparts, which are known as goddesses, like say Uma or Lakshmi or Saraswati. These are in fact the powers, Shakti. If we recognize God as Shiva, then the power or Shakti associated with it is the corresponding goddess or Shakti. So, to invoke that is to invoke our willpower. If we move in the right direction towards divine, then this is Mahavidya, it is recognized as. So, knowledge. But if we turn back to the divine, then it is Mahamaya. So, it is the same aspect with opposite orientations. If we cannot separate ourselves from our animal tendencies, from the predominance of our kama manas, then we always remain entangled with Mahamaya. And then we are under the influence of illusion, which prevents us from saying the truth. That is ignorance. Ignorance is knowing things, but knowing things wrongly. To recognize things just by their outer appearance and not being able to understand the inner being or the essence of a thing. That is ignorance. And therefore, actions based on ignorance lead to not the evolutionary path, but remaining stagnant on the evolutionary path. The process of going forward in the direction of perfection suffers a breakdown. Many times we get involved into tendencies which are more predominant in animals. And then it becomes difficult for an individual to exert himself in the direction of the evolutionary force. So here we have to understand the nature, the laws of nature, and whether we are able to cooperate with the nature as free agent of nature in the evolutionary process. We can cooperate with the nature with right understanding. And then perhaps with that energy of willpower, we are able to induce appropriate flow of energy into the form for transformation, form appropriate for the soul, for its expression to the fullest possible extent. If we are able to reduce the tendency towards inertia, this is a common problem we face. We resist change and remain stagnant. Therefore, there is need for deliberate shaking of the balance of these three gunas, which is not a static, which is not a dynamic equilibrium. What we need is a dynamic equilibrium. Static equilibrium leads to stagnancy. In Rajas, the equilibrium is disturbed. There is movement, motion, but many times the desire provides the energy for excessive movement. Man becomes used to that. Excessive movement becomes more and more ambitious, gets more and more involved in the worldly affairs. So this movement doesn't take him on the path of spirituality. Rather, all his energies are channelized and focused on material matters and material progress. So, there is need for bringing about a change towards a balance of the tamas and rajas in such a way that there is dynamism and at the same time there is an order, an equilibrium which is dynamic, not static. So that dynamic equilibrium will favor the necessary change. Therefore, the importance of Sattva Guna, which helps us to move in the direction of evolution, which takes us away from our animal tendencies, which creates aspiration for betterment, an attraction of various kinds of virtues and dislike for the vices. This change is a change from the pravrutti marga to nivrutti marga. Pravrutti is a mechanical process. We think it is natural. But mechanical process doesn't take us hard. It has its own limitations. It is cyclical. So we come back to the same situation and repeat the cycles again and again. We have to break this tendency to remain mechanical in our motion or movement. We must be prepared to go out of the way, to experiment, to learn. And this is possible when our vehicles cooperate us in our efforts. When our consciousness is dim and vehicular consciousness is more dominant, the animal tendencies are dominant, which we have inherited from the animal kingdom. But when we make deliberate, conscious effort with determined willpower to go against this tendency of the vehicle, either to remain static or to go on moving without any regulation, control on their movements. We are subject to these mechanical forces. And we must come out of that field which is created by the mechanical forces. We are subject to karmic forces. Why? Because we are mechanical in our living, in our approach. Because those karmic forces are mechanical forces. We have acted out of our desires, for fulfillment of our desires, and to experience what we desire, the pleasure or whatever we are after. Grabbing something, achieving something, possessing something, adding something to whatever we have, establishing ourselves, becoming powerful, popular, stronger. All these tendencies keep us away from the movement which is required for our spiritual expression and development. Therefore, we must learn this play of the gunas, the interplay of sattva, raja, tama, and how this combination results into formation of our personality. If we understand that combination, then we can work towards reorganization, restructuring of this combination by developing appropriate habits. Habits again is an outcome of mechanical living. We live in a certain fashion or pattern, get used to it by habit or practice. It becomes easy for us to work more comfortably, easily, repeating the same thing again and again. So there is loss of awareness while we act. Or if there is awareness, it is guided by the desires of the vehicles due to identification with them. So the first thing necessary is to break this. We are locked with our vehicles in awareness. When we break it, we experience a flow of energy which changes its direction from downwards to upwards. That is an important stage, even in yoga. As long as we are externally oriented, we do not realize our real nature, our source of energy, our strengths, our potentialities. Whatever we have, we utilize for a very limited purpose. Satisfaction of the personal desires, the lower self. So all the energy which flows through our vehicles is utilized for that. That flow of energy must be diverted upwards from the lower vehicles to the higher principles. If we remain in that state of higher consciousness, do not get stuck to the lower mind of form and color, rupa. We must transcend to the arupa level, where we are able to think of the abstract, think of the subtle, and experience that aspect of truth or reality of which we are ignorant, by always remaining in touch with the lower. Remaining in association with the buddhi, we develop a holistic view, a comprehensive understanding, the interrelatedness of things, the wholeness of things. Once we are out of the clutches of the lower mind, which is dual, which always keeps us bound in that duality. We only see partially and consider that part as the totality or the reality, which is again an ignorance, which is also an illusion, Maya. As long as we are under the spell of Maya, the states will not change. What appears as an improvement or progress is only a material improvement or progress. And because of that, even our vehicles, which are channel for our consciousness, remain as they are. The development takes place only at the lower level of lower mind. We may become intellectually more competent, we may have more information, more knowledge, but generally that does not lead us to become more happy, more contented, because that is at the cost of the real needs of the soul development. We keep our soul hungry of the real need of experience, of interaction, whereby those potentialities which are latent, hidden, will come out. So, how we act, how we speak, how we feel, how we think, all these are related to lower vehicles, but they are the means to the end, which we should not forget. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. The vehicles are the means. So unless we have appropriate vehicles for expression of the soul, we will remain static. We have to be dynamic. We have to be ready for a change. We have to be experimental in our approach. We shouldn't get bogged down with traditions, with habits, with conventions. They might be useful at a certain stage and useful only at that stage. The moment we transcend that stage and go beyond,
Brother, it's time.
yes, sir, Gupta ji.
Yes, brother, we have crossed the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, I think I will stop here and will perhaps open up for discussion.
Thank you very much, brother
Thank you.
Tendulkar ji. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. कोई हमारे बंधु कोई सवाल या कमेंट करना चाहते हैं? एनीवन हु वांट्स टू मेक अ कमेंट और आस्क अ क्वेश्चन, ही और शी इज मोस्ट वेलकम. I think, brother, you were quite clear and distinct and very nicely explained everything. So
Thank you, sir.
our listeners have been listening to you very keenly, and I think everything that you said is very much clear to them. So I thank you, brother, for giving us an excellent talk on the nature of matter and its gunas. With this, let's close the meeting with the universal prayer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with Thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you to all. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajuji.